Good morning and welcome to Uganda First, a program that we hope is instilling patriotism in Uganda. It is a Thursday, and you know that at 11 a.m. up to midday, Uganda First features is live on air on NTV. Thank you for joining us, and those of you who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much. If you've been following the President's State of the Nation address, you will remember that in 2019, the President talked strongly about corruption, and he called it public enemy number one. In fact, on 4th December of the same year, 2019, the President laid an anti-corruption walk in Kampala. The gesture sent signal that the corrupt and their habits will be rooted out. The struggle is on, but the enemy is still within. We all know that corruption hinders economic, political, and social development, and many of us can attest to this fact. It worsens poverty because the resources meant for the poor or the underprivileged are diverted by the corrupt. A number of laws have been passed and agencies have been put in place to fight corruption, abuse of office, theft of government monies, etc. But the enemy called corruption still hangs on. What is hindering us from rooting out this problem? What have we not done yet as citizens? Are the solutions in place enough? If not, what else can we do? Israel Ocho, the principal legal officer and deputy head at the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, is in studio with us, together with Mr. Charles Twine, the spokesperson of the Criminal Investigations Directorate, CID. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Today we want to delve into this problem called corruption. And you know, each time we talk about it, our mind goes straight to the anti-corruption unit, the IGG, CID, you know. But as citizens, I think we also have a role. And today we are questioning, what is that role? How can we help government to fight corruption? How can we root it out? And as we speak, the State House Anti-Corruption Unit is busy. You up and down, I know, Israel, trying to, should I say, chase, or what have you, hunt for?
Hunt for, yeah.
Whichever word you feel can suit that. But I know that between 2018 and 2021, you have received over 300,000 complaints. I am not sure whether you have been able to process all of them, but I know that you have successfully prosecuted only 40 people. Do you, should we have trust in you? Should you have the public trust? If you've only been able to prosecute and have 40 people convicted, only 40 out of 300,000 complaints.
Thank you, Frank. Maybe I will start by clarifying one or two things.
Yes.
First of all, to our viewers who are watching us, thank you for being there, and to NTV for providing the platform. We appreciate these platforms where we can explain what we do to the citizens and also encourage them to join us in what I actually think is a war against the corrupt. It's a serious problem that we face, and we need to look at it as something that needs to be rooted out and look at it as an attack on our country. 300,000 as against 40 is a little bit, looks strange. But let me explain the 300,000 first. So the 300,000, we've created various platforms through which the public can reach us. And the biggest platform that the public uses to reach us is actually a call center that we've established at our offices. Now the 300,000 includes all the calls that have come in through that call center.
Okay.
Now some of these calls that come in are follow-up calls. The others are actually people whom we can immediately help at that point. For example, if someone complains and says, I am at a government office X and they're asking me for a bribe to pay for a service that I'm not supposed to be paid for. And we can quickly engage, let's say it's a hospital, and we can quickly engage the district health officer and that person is helped without necessarily paying a bribe. So that also gets captured on our system, because our system keeps a cumulative record of what we receive. So the active complaints that we have actually generated, which would think are investigatable issues, about 30,700 out of 300,000.
Those that are plausible?
Yeah, those that are plausible. Now, out of these that are plausible, others we have immediately handled and resolved at those levels. Someone is following up his pension, and there are very many out of that number. And we know if it is at a district local government level that pension is decentralized. So we call the cow, and the cow tells us, yes, we know of his issue. We have actually included him on our list and made submissions to public service. We're waiting for finance to send that money. And then the next time we're actually calling that person, find, have you actually been paid? So we have those. But we have taken, so I'm trying to break down the numbers from 300,000, so we've now come to 30,000. And out of those 30,000, a good number are actually referred. Others involve our partners we work with very closely in the Uganda Police, especially CID. And we send a bulk of them because we can't be everywhere. Ours is a small unit that is centered here in Kampala with minimal staff. So we work with the partner agents. So we refer issues that out of those 30,000, very many have gone to the Auditor General, very many have gone to PPDA, very many are land issues which have gone to Ministry of Lands, very many are land complaints which are in court, which we've liaised with the court system to see that these people actually help. So out of the 30,000, I want to come to about 329 people. These are people we have actually taken to court. 329 people we have taken to court in the 3 years we've been there.
Still sounds few.
It sounds few, but if I would give you context, this is a unit that is manned by, that works, the director CID was very kind to assign just about 15 of her detectives to handle cases. So 300 with a workforce of 15 is actually a lot of work. If the 15 people can churn out 100 people in court in a year, is a lot of work. Now, for these 329 people we've taken to court, the files have been prepared by the detectives the director CID has assigned. We're
talking about between which time frame? 2018?
This is December 2018 until now.
Today?
Until today.
Well, maybe last week.
Yeah, until about last week.
Okay.
Yeah, until about last week. So those are 329 who are in court. These cases have been prepared by the team of detectives assigned by the director CID. They have been perused by the DPP, and the DPP has agreed that these are good cases, and they've taken them to court. Now, out of those 329, we have managed in this short time to get 40 convictions. Now, someone says 40 in all 3 years is a small number, but we do not control the court process. The court process is independent. So for me, I would want to stop at the point where we say we've managed to take 329 people to court. And these are not just ordinary people. Out of these people, we've taken 2 MPs through the court systems. 2 MPs. We've taken secretaries of, we've taken about 25 central government officials. This is at the level of permanent secretary, CEOs, directors, and secretaries of commissions. So this is what we ordinarily would call
those in the class of big fish.
Yeah. Yes, because we know financial responsibility rests with the accounting officers.
The term brought to us by Justice Katusi.
Yes. Now, below that, we've also tackled, because like you indicated, corruption affects service delivery and takes away money from delivery of services, which at the local government level, we feel the people at the local government level are much more vulnerable, because an ordinary woman in Nabioga, where I come from in Tororo, is not going to be able to afford a hospital service. If Frank, you went to a hospital at Mulago and someone has deliberately created delays because they want a bribe, you could easily walk to a private clinic near. There are even many. But in my sub-county where I come from in Tororo, that ordinary woman is not going to have that option. So when someone creates a level of corruption at the local government level, it actually impacts the ordinary person directly and in a much more painful manner. So we've also tackled local government corruption, and again, we've tackled heads of departments, cows. We have over 17 cows, town clerks, and chief finance officers, district engineers, heads of departments. So these are big fish at the local government level. And we've also taken them to court. So the 40, we do not want to force the courts. The courts are independent. We cannot force the courts to hurry their processes. And even the courts themselves, I don't want to fault them entirely. But they are lawyers. These are private citizens. They hire private lawyers. You go to court and he says, my lawyer is not in today. And the matter has to be adjourned. And the judiciary has been good. For example, because at the anti-corruption unit, we feel justice must be seen to be delivered. If you've stolen from Nakapiripirit, then the courts have been kind to organize sessions in Nakapiripirit, at the place where the crime...
That is the anti-corruption court.
The anti-corruption division of the High Court. So they've been kind enough to organize those sessions in those places, and then the people, the ordinary citizen who was deprived of a road, who was deprived of medicine, can see this public official being taken to court. But also, it makes it easy for our witnesses, because remember the court is headquartered in Kampala. So if we go to Nakapiripirit, our witness is not boarding a bus to travel 8 hours to come to Kampala to testify. So it fastens the process of justice. So the courts are trying their part, but there are so many other players once the matters go to court. And we believe, for us, once we take you to court, that is...
I'm saying now 2 or 3 serious challenges here. The court is slow, of course, the backlog and what have you. Then the problem of the lean workforce. But again, the witnesses in Nakapiripiriti, who protects them?
Thank you.
Because I attended a seminar about a year or 2, and one of the problems why the corrupt cannot be prosecuted in court is they tend to threaten the witnesses. You're aware of that?
True. Witness protection is something we are alive to, and the difficulties a witness has to go through to testify, we try as much as possible to limit those. Fortunately, we have these open call systems to call. If any of our witnesses feels threatened, we are in touch with them, in constant touch, and if such challenges are brought to us, we quickly respond to them. In the other instances, we've had instances where matters have gone to court, and we've asked that the witnesses are heard in camera. The courts actually allow this. The courts will go to every extent to protect the witness, so that is at comfort to give the evidence that wants to give. So that is being dealt with. Again, threatening anyone is an offense. Our witness protection law, as it is, the Whistleblowers Act, actually bars the victimization of any witness. And if those are brought to our attention, we work with our colleagues in the Uganda police, and these matters are reported, and they are investigated, and they are brought to their logical conclusion.
Mr. Twine, coming to you, I remember the zero tolerance to corruption policy of 2019. The president in this policy reassigns CID to detect, prevent, and investigate fraud, related cases countrywide, handle corruption in both public and private sectors. How far have you gone since 2019?
Well, thank you so much, my brother Frank, and I wish to extend my greetings to the management of NTV, but also most importantly to convey the greetings from the Inspector General of Police and Madame Grace Sakuro, the Director CID. She indeed sends very, very sincere greetings to the management of NTV and to all our viewers. Now, you've brought a very pertinent topic, and to us, we look at you as now very great ambassadors in as far as fighting crime is concerned, specifically the crime of corruption. I am one person who was ardently following the presidential campaigns for the candidates in America, that is between Joe Biden and Trump. And in one of the communications, Joe Biden said that fighting corruption is not only for good governance, but it is for self-defense. and a virtue of patriotism. He further said we should not only be passive consumers of good governance, but rather
engage,
be participants in the fight against corruption. And this one calls for the citizenry role in the fight against corruption. Yes, our mandate as Uganda Police, as enshrined in the Constitution, Article 212, has a provision of detect and prevent crime. Yes, and we do it in the circumstances. But also the same Constitution, Article 17, paragraph F, under the duties and responsibilities of citizens, calls for the citizenry to cooperate with the police in the fight against corruption or any other crime. So as we discuss, I want the dear viewers to appreciate that yes, we have a role, but you too have a role. Fighting corruption is not something very easy because some of the evidence is not easily available. It only takes ingenuity and intuition to get some of this evidence. But in the circumstances, we have traced, apprehended, investigated, and prosecuted quite a number of suspects. We have done a lot of recoveries, but unfortunately, which is recovered as an exhibit. Now, the challenge we have, whereas we would recover much of the roots. The law in Uganda, I think Edward is, you know, we have Ochom Edward. He's our big uncle there at police headquarters. So if I inadvertently call you Afande or Edward, please take it in good faith. A lawyer or any other person would appreciate that the recovery of the root of corrupt is conviction-based. You only have to convict in order for you to recover. But there is where we have recovered goods or stolen things, including money, during the process of investigations. There is where we have also recovered money through pre-bargain. There is where we have recovered money by curtailing the money that was en route to being stolen. So in the circumstance, we have done this with very different stakeholders, very pertinent, and the coming in of State House and corruption. If I put it in the football world for our viewers who know football, is if you have a very good team with Ronaldo on the bench or Messi on the bench, and you're already leading by 2-0, and then you bring Ronaldo or Messi as the dangerous substitute. That is the coming in of State House and Corruption Unit. When they came in, they gave very, very good strategic guidance. They showed levels of commitment, and then together with the police officers whom we attached there, we are scoring very highly. But like he has indicated, fighting corruption is just work in progress. It's not something that you can easily wide out in a moment, because it entails a lot of other things. For example, if you are to fight corruption and you want to quantify how much money was lost, you have to use the Auditor General. Remember, we don't supervise the Auditor General. We don't either even fund the Auditor General. So he has to work according to his budget, and he has to work according to his schedule. So if you want a quick fix and he tells you, no, I have not given this priority, you will not be in a position to finish the work. And the Auditor General produces what we call forensic audit. Sometimes it may be engineering audit. Engineering, and all that needs time. We have other pieces of evidence which we get from the handwriting experts. In Uganda, we have only 3 handwriting experts. And this one provides services for the police as well as the IGG. They have the backlog. They have some information which they are working on that dates far back as 2012. And we cannot say they are lazy. They are only 3, but the volume of work is too much. So not until you get that evidence from an expert of a handwriting expert, then you will be able to adduce that specific
But
evidence.
we hear this word, this phrase, capacity building within your circles. What happens? What happens?
Yeah, it is work in progress, and I can tell you...
because I know from 2010 or thereabout, when the anti-corruption division of the High Court started, that conversation was there. You know, we have less than 3, by then there were 2, I think, handwriting experts. And until 2021, we're still having the same conversation.
Yeah, you see, like when it comes to us as police, the volume of crime we receive is too much. Is too much, and therefore, and we have been training capacities. Training a handwriting expert takes 400 million. That is to get the basic certified levels from India or America. Just one expert.
Did we prioritize on that?
I mean, we have so many other things we are doing. We have put the laboratory, forensic laboratory. It was never there before, and it took millions of dollars. And we also have to build it because we have to counter the violent crimes that take lives. We've had a robust process of fingerprinting guns. It also takes money. We've invested heavily in cameras. It also takes money. We've invested a lot in building the electronic countermeasures investigators and cybercrime investigators. And all those are efforts that support the fight against corruption. The electronic countermeasures is so influential, especially in training the corruption. You see now, the accountability system in Uganda is done electronically. We have trained officers who will not go and ask for a paper voucher, but the investigators who will go in the server and saw who logged in and with what credentials. So we didn't have them there before. We have now trained them. Of course, going forward, we shall also ensure that we have enough handwriting experts. We have had the cyber investigators that can track some of the phones and all the communications different criminals use. We have had our police officers to be trained, for example, in how the IFMS works, the Integrated Financial Management System, and the IPPS, and that is how fraud is orchestrated. These guys are so smart in playing with the computer, and we also have to outmatch them.
The assertion
So
that
all those have been the steps that we have been doing to build the capacity. So it's not like when we said building capacity, we are not sitting. Only that we have not reached the desired levels. And with your support, guys, I can tell you, we shall reach there. There's also something pertinent you talked about, witness protection. It's a challenge.
Yes, in about a minute.
Yes, it's a, although I want you to differentiate between witnesses and whistleblowers. Quite often we don't use whistleblowers as witnesses.
The line is so thin.
No, it's so thin, but it's very clear, because a whistleblower just gives the information that there is a problem.
Yeah.
Then for you, remember, you, the investigator, you have to vigorously look for evidence that you reduce in court. Now, in corruption-related cases, actually, we rarely use witnesses, because corruption is all about paper trail.
Who do you use?
No, the evidence. If I come, I bring the cyber investigator, and he accesses your server, and he gets who logs in with what credentials. I will not need a person who gave me the information. If I go to public service and they give me a circular on how public finance should be spent, I may not need any witness. I will just use that circular and utter it in court, and the magistrate will accept. So witnesses, yes, they are very, very important, but in corruption-related cases, they are very, very minor. It's all about paper trail.
You know, Charles and Israel, I think maybe we shouldn't look at corruption in, around the things that we can see, those that are visible. We know this is dishonest conduct of public or private officials. Somebody, processes a procurement deal and it looks okay on the face, but behind there is something going on. There's something you cannot trace, and that is where the assertion comes in that these guys are way beyond you. Israel.
Thank you, Frank. I think we need to appreciate one thing. And for us as people who are involved in tackling crime and actually corruption, if I would be specific to where I have been working in quite some time now, we know it at the back of our minds that every day when we go a step ahead, the fraudster is also looking to be a step ahead of us. So it's actually a constant fight. Everyone is struggling to be ahead of the other. So the criminal is struggling to be ahead of us. The investigator is also realizing that I have to be ahead of the criminal. So it is a fact we are alive to. Now, I could give you examples. For example, my comrade talked of the IPPS system, the IFMS system. Government is saying we do not want human interaction. Yeah, sure. Previously, in the old days, those people who were here would tell you that money would be drawn from the central bank and kept in the Ministry of Finance, and from Ministry of Finance it would be picked by physical officers and carried to the district offices and various ministries. So in carrying physical cash, there's a risk of this money actually, if someone actually carrying it away. You may, Frank, you may be the CFO, but your driver who is driving, and maybe you stop somewhere and he decides to walk away with the part of money that you're supposed to go and use. So government reduces that interaction by putting in place electronic systems. But now these electronic systems, the fraudsters have also gone ahead and they've learned how to abuse them. Either they've learned how to hack into them, but some of these internal, the civil servants, they've known how to disguise a transaction. And the investigators are alive. And for me, I want to agree with my comrade that we're actually building capacity. The capacity is being built constantly, constantly. CID has improved. The Uganda police has improved. We rely on their competences in forensics. They have a very good lab. We rely on very many cyber crime or detectives from the same place. Very many accountants, and you see there is no school that will train you to be a holistic investigator. Yeah, sure. No. Because
you can only specialize.
Yes, so you find it's a procurement fraud. So you need a procurement, someone who is first of all a procurement expert. Then you train him in how to look at. So it's a constant thing. And crime happens in the dark. It happens in the dark. When I am planning to do a corrupt act, I am not going to stand somewhere and write a proposal that I am going to steal so much. No. We sit, me and maybe you, we sit under and plan, and we do everything. Crime, actually, the offense of corruption takes place under the table. So a whistleblower, like he mentions, may give you the information that something happened there, but he's not the one to actually come and testify that this is what happened.
If a health worker chooses to disappear from their duty, you know, they are supposed to be on duty. It is a Thursday, and we expect Musao so-and-so to be around, but they are not. Is that an act of corruption?
That is corruption.
It is. Exactly.
Yeah,
so
sure.
When we come back in the second segment, we want to delve into that as well. How are citizens helping? You know, we should start with these small ones. Yeah, sure. Then, you know, we delve into the bigger ones.
The big ones.
Yeah. We're coming back in the second segment. Still looking at the citizens' role in fighting corruption. With me in studio is Israel Ochoa, senior lawyer and deputy head at the State House Anti-Corruption Unit. And Mr. Charles Twine is also here with us. He's the spokesperson of the Criminal Investigations Directorate. You are watching Uganda First. We'll be back. We're looking at citizens' role in fighting corruption. The program is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps. Those are the people that make this program happen. They are in the office of the president. Yeah, that's where the secretariat is. We want to take a look at some of the people we spoke to about this same topic, citizens' role in fighting corruption. Let's hear about 2, 3, or 4.
As a citizen of Uganda, the best way I can fight corruption begins with me myself. I choose not to be corrupt. and not to prompt other government officials to be corrupt by giving them bribes. Because once you bribe somebody, the person has no actual option but to become corrupt.
Tumenya nnyo amateeka tugambe ng'aga traffic. Nenjagala mpa omusirikale ki ssente. Kati singa naffe ffennyini abantu tulekeraawo okuwa enguzi kijja gikendeezaako. Ndowooza tuyige okubeera ba whistleblowers. Bwe mba ndaba ekitatambula bulungi gye tubeera eyo naddala mu bitongole bya gavumenti obanga ku kanso awo tusobola okuraisinga issues ezo tewaffe waliwo ekitatambula bulungi.
Obuvunaanyizibwa bwange ng'omuntu okulwanyisa enguzi ekisookera ddala butagiwa. Kozi singa mba sigiwa n'omulala n'atagiwa kiyinza okukendeezaako obaolyawo n'okumalirawo ddala okuwa enguzi. Ekyokubiri kukubiriza bannaffe nga mmaze nze obutagiwa n'okusomesa abalala. Kozi mulimu abatamanyi bubi buli mu kuwanguzi oba oluusi n'obutagyetabamu ddala. Nga mmaze okuba nga nsomesa ngenda mu maaso n'obutagyetabamu ddala.
Enguzi nze kennyini erina ttandikibwa kukomerezebwa nange. Nze n'omuntu gwe involvinze okuwa enguzi ffenna tuba tugikoze ki tugyetabyemu. Nze alina otandika ogistopinga wenemerwa then n'abaala baba balina olemerwa. Ekirala enguzi tusobola ogikomekkereza nga ffenna tuli ekyokulabirako. Especially naddala abantu abanene mu ggwanga. Kubanga abasinga betulabirako ffe we tulaba nga balemereddwa then naffe tugamba ate ffe abafuna akatini. Kati kiba kitegeeza bo leka babeere ekyokulabirako n'omuntu wa wansi akole ki alabireko.
Nga Munnayuganda nina okudda eri Katonda. Bwe mba ntya Mukama nja kulekeraawo okukola mu bintu ebyo byenguzi ebyo. So kati kyenyinza okukubiriza bannaddiini abakulu baffe abatukulira beeyongere okutusomesa okutuyigiriza ekigambo kya Katonda tusobole okudduka ebintu ng'ebyo.
By always having such kind of talks that against corruption but within my peers, showing them that again getting something to give it to someone for you again to get something, that wouldn't be the solution, but at least putting ways how we can at least get something for us to put in by making policies and anything that can at least support us, we as citizens.
Some of the people we spoke to about the topic of fighting, citizens' role in fighting corruption. Israel, what have the citizens not done, or what are they doing well, and you think they should keep it up?
Thank you, Frank. Maybe I would like to commend the messages the citizens are giving. Are really good. These are some of the things I think myself and my brother Charles were going to talk about, and we see we have allies out there in the public, and I think we should build on this, on what I would call bright spots. There are those citizens like these we've seen who are aware, and I think we need to build on it. For us at the Anti-Corruption Unit, we say corrupt-free Uganda starts with me and you. So all of us have to do our part. But to give it some context, we are a democracy. What should the citizens do? We are a democracy. It will take more than resisting a bribe, because there is that corruption we see where someone is asking for a bribe, but there is the other bigger corruption that we would see where a road is supposed to be 20 kilometers and the district engineer and the chief administrative officer and the CFO only build half of that, half of the 50 kilometers. So what the citizens need to do more, because our constitution says citizens, government should do everything to involve citizens in how they are governed. We are democracy. Democracy, I remember from my primary civics, was the government for the people, by the people, for the people.
For the people.
Now government allows us to participate in decision-making processes and developing plans that change, that determine how we are governed and what is it, how development is undertaken in our communities. So I would urge citizens to know what happens in their communities, what is planned for their communities. Now government is talking of implementing the parish model. We should know what programs are supposed to come to each of these parishes. And fortunately, there are initiatives, and which in our experience at Anti-Corruption Unit we've seen in one of the first districts we went to, in Lango sub-region, a district councillor in Aleptong told us, I have seen, because districts are supposed to report to the Ministry of Finance on how they perform, with a budget performance report. And this is electronic. If you go to the Ministry of Finance website, you find Know Your Budget. And the district officials in Aleptong had reported that we constructed so many boreholes, including these district councillors. This was a district councillor representing a small sub-county somewhere in Aleptong. And he says, I've moved in my parish and everywhere they are saying these boreholes are, there is no borehole. And so he writes to us, and I've seen these people submitting that they've done these boreholes and they are not there. So we send a team in advance and they said there are no boreholes.
To process the complaint.
Yes, and we arrest all these officials. And so if a citizen is aware, so you can do it through your councillor, you can actually do it actively. You yourself as a citizen, you go and look at your village. What are they reporting on your village? What are the district officials reporting on your village? All these ministries and departments and agencies of at the central government level also make reports. And we have stakeholders in all the sectors where these people are.
You know,
and citizens should interest themselves
we
in
as
what these
private
people are doing.
citizens, sometimes maybe we lack the information. For example, is the unit creating partnership with the media to tell people that actually there is information that should be displayed at the district office? If the projects that were supposed to be done, say a year or two, and those that are upcoming, they should be displayed. I go, I read, and ascertain whether the borehole is there or not. And luckily, I think because the councillor sits, in the council, he was able to know what was transpiring. But most of us, I can tell you, it's all right. We do not have the information.
Thank you, Frank. And for us at the Anti-Corruption Unit, I think one of the biggest strategic advantages we have is that we have harnessed the capabilities we see in the ordinary citizen and in the media. We have very good partnerships with various media houses, including this one, because I believe it's not the first time I'm here or other officials from here, and the other programs we've come here and shared with through the media.
I would love that after such a program brought to you, the viewers, by the National Secretariat of Patriotism Co., we again have other aggressive adverts.
Okay.
That, hey, citizen, there is information that you're supposed to know at the district, and it is your right to access this information.
Thank you. I think that can be pursued from us as a unit. We can work on a more direct partnership, but we're doing it. But even before we come to the media, what I was trying to explain, I used this example of the councillor as a quick one that came. But another example, still in Lango sub-region, went to Lango, and you see corruption happens in the dark. And sometimes we also investigate it quietly. So for us at the Anti-Corruption Unit, we do it slightly differently by having direct engagements with the ordinary citizen. And we go to a district office and call a meeting, including all the other stakeholders, and we tell them, we have come to investigate this. They have told us Frank, Charles, and Israel were the ones responsible for implementing this.
Did you see it happen?
Then the citizens tell us, when we ask Frank to explain, the citizens tell you, Frank is lying. That was not done. Actually, around that time, he bought this car and he's building this massive house there. And those are key clues. We may not necessarily relate the house to the crime, but they are key clues which help us in resolving all these things. So we directly engaging the citizen.
How does he start to construct a house worth 400 million? His salary is known, 1 million. You start from there.
We start from there.
Charles.
Yes, please.
Getting back to you, police, you had somebody saying that I cannot be threatened. If I'm not going to bribe you, I will not. But I know of many cases, so many I can attest to many of them, where people have been left with no choice apart from bribing police officers at police station A or B or whichever. Because police officers, some of them, not all of them, have learned this habit of threatening, people, threatening people. You have a case here. You were arrested during curfew. You're going to be taken to court. By this afternoon you're going to court. And somebody is left with no choice apart from facilitating a bribe in order to overcome that.
Yeah, you see, first of all, I want to thank these Ugandans whom we interviewed. These Ugandans are heroes. When you you listen to their responses, you realize they are very good ambassadors who can really support the anti-corruption agencies to ensure that this vice is completely eradicated. Now, going forward, the response I can give to your question, why would somebody give a bribe because he fears court, and then you think the problem is police? See? So if a police officer is intimidating you that if you don't give a bribe, I'm going to take you to court, what's wrong with you saying it's fine, let's go to court? What is that you are fearing from court? You see, that means that the problem is not only at police. Probably there is something else he fears from police, from court. And that is what we should address. We have had situations where police officers are given money because somebody doesn't want his father or his relatives to stay a night, just one night.
In a cell. In
police cells. And we don't kill people from police cells. Even when you know that tomorrow we are going to give a bond. We have had situations whereby the family sits and even sell some part of their property, soliciting for money even when they have not met police officers. So that mindset. We have had situations where the police officer releases somebody on bond, completely free, and then the relatives of the suspect come and say, officer, now how much are we going to give you? You see, it has been that inherent. But people inherently fear justice, fear the whole entire system. One of my heroes here talked about the traffic officers. Somebody is arrested, his vehicle is a DMC, he has no tires, he has so many traffic issues. All he wants to offer is money. The police officer says, no, let's go to CPS, have this vehicle packed. Probably tomorrow you are taken to court.
Or buy the tires and put them.
Exactly, or buy the tires and you fix them. And the person say, no, officer, get 20,000, get 50,000. Sometimes the officer really completely refuses. And the man keeps on adding, and eventually some of our officers really succumb. So that means we have to address the ideological issue. Because corruption is a two-way. It's a two-way. I can tell you the moment, like this hero said, the moment people refuse to give bribes to people who think they have authority, there is no way corruption can thrive. And this is what, because one of the heroes here said we need to empower people and give them information. And Frank, you brought something very, very pertinent. We must support you in this, because now you have proved to be a very good ambassador to us. We need to empower our people with information. My senior brother here, of course, whom we work together in investigation. Not long ago, we went to Uganda to investigate a case of fraud in the construction of these hospitals. Now, one of the glaring issues was that there was accountability made that shillings 700 million was used to clear the site, that there were so many trees and very big trees. And Uganda shillings 700 million.
It's a lot of money.
Was spent to clear.
Just to clear site.
But after getting the information, we went to the ground. Remember, the people there in Iganga didn't know that accountability had been made. Because they had deliberately denied information.
Yes.
By the implementers. But after the whistleblower had given us information, we went there and the guy said, look, there were only 7 pawpaw trees. 7 pawpaw trees.
At the site.
And actually, this site was initially a cemetery. So you can imagine, you use 700 million to cut pawpaw trees. And there was also another money, which was part of what they call variation. That is supplementary expenditure after the whole money in the contract sum.
Changing the budget.
Yes. Now, the narrative was other 1.7 billion was spent to excavate on the rock. That the rock was just 1 feet down.
Don't tell me that was not a successful prosecution.
No, it was. But of course, some of the problems which we have is that some of these mistakes, some of these problems are embedded in the contract. So as you investigate, you find what was done was a contractual breach. It was a breach of a contract. And it is deliberately done at the time of procurement. And that is why when you talked about capacity building, we have built capacities of investigators in as far as understanding the whole robust system of procurement works. Because, you know, a person plays with a pen and changes figures in the procurement, I mean in the BOQs, bills of quantities, and at the end of it all, the project will be there, people will be happy, services will be delivered,
but at an inflated cost.
Billions of money will have been lost. So going forward, we need to empower our people. We need to feed them with information. Because some of those, there are some people who are so critical. Recently, people of Ntungamo, His Excellency gave a project in commemoration of Leteria Kategaya to build a technical school. People put their structures which were the sizes of toilets.
And they claim it is a school.
Yes, and people demonstrated, they say they came and gave information, and now the whole information has been welcomed, investigation is full blast, and that thing must be fixed. So we need to invest in sharing information with our people. Information is power. For us, we have the will and the competencies, but sometimes the people have no information.
Let's have a look at some of the messages coming in through our WhatsApp number, the one you're seeing on screen. Okay. Good morning. I am tuning in from Entebbe. Thank you. So that issue of police being corrupt is a big one in Uganda, and apparently it has made our police useless. You think so? For instance, if one goes to the police with an issue, all they do is ask you for money in order to keep the case going, hence leaving the people with no choice but to take part in corruption. You didn't put your name. All right, you're preparing the others? Okay. Okay. We have less than 5 minutes to conclude this, Israel. Yes, you wanted to supplement?
I just want to supplement on what the point Charles made. I think there are good initiatives in how government shares information on what it is disbursing.
Yeah, sure.
I think we should have a similar level of transparency with what the people the money was disbursed to are saying they used it for.
Exactly.
So the accountability process also needs to be open. For us as the agencies, we are cooperating. We've already realized that we need to work together to fight corruption, and the agencies are working together. Very good collaboration. And this year, the Anti-Corruption Week is coming in the first week of December. We are celebrating, we are realizing that we need to bring on board the citizens. And the theme this year is promoting active social accountability through active citizen participation.
Yes.
So we realize that it is good to involve citizens, and we've seen good examples from Ntungamo, where the citizens are giving information. We've seen good examples from Lira, where citizens are giving us clues. I think for them to actively participate, we need, like he said, to furnish them with the information. So we need transparency. Information needs to be shared with the citizen so that he can check what is being said. Also, the citizen, like in this last comment, needs to shun. You know, you can resist. So the police leaves you no choice. Resist. And I urge all those, any government official who asks you for a bribe, to call the Anti-Corruption Unit. Somebody was telling me recently, I want to mention the place Charles might be interested, that, you know, Frank, but Walibangambi, you know, I thought of staying on is it remand, staying on remand for a month and paying this guy 50K now, which was better, because I was telling them the same, I was telling the same thing. Why didn't you resist? Why did you pay a bribe? Probably because they don't know that they are channels. You report to us. Of remand 1 month, and then what have you? You report to us. The police itself has systems. The professional standards unit of police, we work closely with it. When the citizen complaints come through our call lines, they immediately call those files, question, and they will ensure that you don't go on that remand. The coordination between the agencies, like I've said, is there. The professional standards unit working with us can easily reach the prosecutor, the office of the DP, the office of the DPP, and we see to it that the citizen actually gets justice. So citizens should not fear the remand. Yes, you may be threatened with remand, but there are agencies which are going to work with you and ensure that you have your freedom, and that corrupt government official who wants to exploit you at that point is stopped and is removed from the system.
All right. Charles, anything you want to finish with in less than a minute?
Yeah, thank you so much, Frank. And I just want to tell our dear viewers that, first of all, we have a zero tolerance policy in Uganda Police, and we have put a mechanism of how to fight corruption. I want to admit that we have some errant officers who just came with their characters from the society. We have tried to train them, we have reprimanded, we have even prosecuted some. But yes, there are some still characters that actually make us get a bad name. But like my senior officer here has said, we need people who are so resilient. People should desist from giving bribes. If somebody insists, record, share with anti-corruption, share with PSU, or come to CID headquarters and report. We shall inevitably institute an investigation, and the errant officers shall be prosecuted. But we shall do that inevitably with your support, and your support is not only a favor, it's a constitutional obligation as provided for under Article 17, paragraph D. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there some 2-3 people whose comments we can't wait? All right. So happy for the show. I am happy you hosted the CID spokesperson. I have my point straightforward. I have a case. My bag was stolen from Link Park, and video footage from CCTV is there. My bag had my national ID and other academic credentials. Also, my GeoTV was stolen. To as I talk, someone just paid for the GoTV and I've received the message. I chose to show my pain and console myself because I know our police. Swallow, is it swallow?
I'll refer him to us, to CID headquarters.
If the number can be got.
The thief has renewed the
GoTV. CCTV footage, I think that can be got.
No, that's painful. You can refer him to us.
I have heard also stories about CCTV footage, you know, people asking for money to be able to retrieve the footage. You've heard those stories?
See, the footages are not for... Footages are not for...
For sale?
No, they are not for sharing with the public. Footages form part of the investigations. We can ably show you just to build confidence, but the footage is part of the form part of the evidence. So I don't want to encourage people to go and retrieve the footages to go for purposes of sharing it in social media.
It happens so much when the cases are to deal with traffic, you know. This one knocked me, no, it was you who came first, it was you who did this. Okay, let's get the footage.
Yeah, sure, they can view, they can view and discuss. Then eventually we shall use that footage for purposes of prosecution.
All right, the conversation could still go on and on, but because of time, we have to leave it at that. Thank you, Israel Cho, the Deputy Head, State House Anti-Corruption Unit, and Charles Twine, the spokesperson of the Criminal Investigations Directorate. This is Uganda First. Thank you for watching. My name is Frank Olisimbi. Have a good afternoon.